Welcome and thanks for joining me. My guest today is Benji Hutchinson, the Vice President of Federal Operations in the Advanced Recognition Systems Division at NEC Corporation of America. Benji, good to have you with us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk about digital transformation today, but in an interesting context. So often the discussions of digital transformation have to do with online transactions where the government is a computer server somewhere in the cloud and the user or visitor is on his or her device somewhere in the world. But there's also an angle to digital transformation that's happening in the context of person to person, in person, live interactions and transactions. And that's where some of the technologies we're going to be talking about today come in. So tell us your view. What's going on in digital transformation in the in person, let's say, real world?
Yeah, no, and you nailed it, right? I mean, a lot of times we talk about the virtual world, but when we talk about digital transformation or DX, it often has to do with the physical and the digital world colliding or coming together and knocking down those barriers, quite honestly. So when we talk about digital transformation, we mean deploying the digital technologies that create a new paradigm or a new way of doing business, whether that's through enhancing the customer experience or evolving the business processes that are currently in place. And it's usually in response to meeting new requirements or new challenges. And, you know, I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but one of the things we're seeing right now is a global pandemic. And that acceleration of digital transformation is happening all around us. But that's typically what we talk about when we talk about digital transformation.
And often these types of transactions involve the verification of who somebody is. And that has come a great deal since, the last 20 years or so. And part of that has to do with facial recognition, biometrics. Give us the top trends that are happening, especially in facial, because it is a moving technology and it has come a great deal even in the last couple of years relative to what it was earlier.
Absolutely. Biometrics have come a long, long way, and specifically facial recognition has gotten a lot more accurate, higher performance, faster in the past 5 years, and it's been deployed in a wide range of use cases across the world. And you know what we're seeing is a bunch of different use cases where the technology really makes a difference. Whether we're talking about physical access, digital payments, um, contactless, frictionless, hygienic verification of identities in transportation scenarios, such as at the border, whether that's in an airport, a seaport, or a land port. We're seeing these technologies really make a difference. And even with the global pandemic, a mask hasn't slowed down the facial recognition technology. You can still use the technology to verify identities without having to get really close or have contact with these individuals. So playing on that digital transformation theme, it really is having an impact. And I think we're going to see more of that. And other technologies out there include iris technology as well. But facial definitely has had a moment and is having a moment.
That's a good point. You mentioned something that comes up a lot in questions, and that is with everybody masked, say, in a one to many matching situation or a corridor at an airport, that type of thing where people are ordinarily masked. It's possible now to do a good recognition, even with someone half their face covered.
It is through the advances in technology with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. We've been able to modify and upgrade the algorithms to correct for the face coverings. It's pretty miraculous. We can look at different vectors and attributes on the face and compensate for that face covering piece. Obviously, it's better to not have the mask on, but in today's world, in a lot of scenarios, especially in the aviation environment, that's just not an option. So, you know, we have released an algorithm. We released it last year, and we've been pushing it out to a lot of our customers, and it continues to perform well. And I think you're going to see more and more of those performance and accuracy gains as time goes on.
And a lot of agencies that want to test those algorithms or test the way that they're applied in applications in larger technology systems often raise questions about what types of testing data is required, the data sets, the facial sets, the sets of eyes, if you will, that are required to do this, what are the implications for testing and training algorithms where you're shifting from the entire face to just the eyes?
No, it's a good question, and one of the most important things to remember when you're building training data sets or entering into any sort of testing scenario is to use a trusted source and an organization that is trusted widely and is unbiased. And one of those organizations is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST. And they really have been a pioneer over the past 20 to 25 years in testing industry algorithms for facial recognition under a lot of different scenarios. More recently, the Department of Homeland Security, Science and Technology, they've conducted a number of rallies to also test the efficacy of the technology in real world scenarios. But in both of these situations, you've got trusted organizations that have a vested interest in using the technology, making sure in NIST's case, they're part of the Department of Commerce, that there's a level playing field and that everybody has access to the best technology available. And on the DHS side, they're testing to make sure that it's operationally feasible for deployment in places like airports, seaports, and land ports. So it has come quite a long way. And when you talk about the data piece in particular, making sure that you have data that is standard and everybody's tested against that same data. It's large data sets. We're talking millions and millions of faces, usually passport or visa faces. That's how those government agencies can really make an impact and be unbiased because they have access to all that government data. It really makes a difference as we in the vendor community try to compare ourselves to others, but also to evolve our technologies and see how they're going to work in the real world.
And just a quick question before the break. When you, as a large corporation and a major vendor in this space, NEC, are releasing an algorithm or a piece of embedded technology using the algorithm, are your ways of developing it and testing it also transparent to the would-be buyer?
They are. They are. We make sure that when we test these algorithms, we work with the likes of NIST and our customers to understand how they're tested, what are our false positive and false negative rates. And one of the things we're really proud of is in the last NIST test, we ranked #1 in accuracy and performance when it comes to facial recognition. There were about 189 algorithms submitted by 99 different vendors. And they came back and said that our error rates were virtually undetectable. So that's an amazing advancement in the technology. And there's others in that pack as well that did fairly well. But when we work with our customers to make sure that they understand those test results, how those test results can be applied to their operational scenarios, they have a high level of comfort that they're buying the best of breed.
All right, on that note, we'll take a quick break here. My guest today is Benji Hutchinson. He's the Vice President of Federal Operations for the Advanced Recognition Systems Division of NEC Corporation of America. I'm your moderator, Tom Temin. This is Federal Insights, sponsored by NEC Corporation of America here on Federal News Network.